All right, here we are. Blue Letter Bible app, Bible in a Year. This is Genesis 38. I think we're at day 25, 24 or something. Genesis 38, 39, and 40. We've got the story of Judah is unfolding and the story of Joseph. Okay? The story of Judah pretty much goes forgotten. I don't know. I guess we don't air the dirty laundry. And then we have the story of Joseph, which is, everybody knows that one. Okay, here we go. And it came to pass at that time when Judah went down from his brethren and turned into a certain Adulamite whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. And he took her and went into her. And she conceived and bare a son. And he called his name Er. And she conceived again and bare a son. And she called his name Onan. And she yet conceived and bare a son. And called his name Shelah. And he was Jezeb when she bare him. And Judah took a wife for Er his firstborn, whose name was Tamar. And Er, Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of Jehovah. And Jehovah slew him. And Judah said unto Onan, Go into thy brother's wife and marry her, and raise up a seed to thy brother. And Onan knew that the seed should not be his. And it came to pass, when he went unto his brother's wife, that he spilled it on the ground, lest he should give his seed to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased Jehovah. Therefore he slew him also. What a mess. Then said Judah to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Remain a widow at thy father's house, till Shelah my son be grown. Till Shelah my son be grown. For he said, Lest peradventure he die also, as his brethren did. And Tamar went and dwelt in her father's house. And in the process of time, the daughter of Shelah, Judah's wife, died. And Judah was comforted and went up into the sheep shearers to Timnah, and he and his friend Hira the Adulamite. And it was told to Tamar, saying, Behold, thy father-in-law goeth up to Timnah to shear his sheep. And she put her widow's garments off from her, and covered her veil, and wrapped herself, and sat also in the open place which is by the way to Timnah. For she saw that Selah was grown, and she was not given unto him to wife. So she had been slighted. When Judah saw her, he thought to her to be a harlot, because she had covered her face. And he turned unto her by the way and said, Go to, I pray thee, let me come into thee. For he knew not that it was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What wilt thou give me? And thou mayst come into me. And he said, I will give thee a kid from the flock. And she said, Wilt thou give me a pledge till thou send it? And he said, What pledge shall I give thee? And she said, Thy signet and thy bracelet and thy staff that is in thy hand. And he gave it to her, and he came into her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and went away, and laid by her veil from her, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid by the hand of his friend Adulamite, and to receive this pledge from the woman's hand, but he found her not. He asked the men of that place, saying, Where is the harlot that was openly by the way? And they said, There was no harlot in this place. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. And also the men of this place, that there was no harlot in this place. And he gave her his signet ring, his bracelet, and his staff, which were probably all things that showed his authority as being a big shot. And he returned to Judah and said, I cannot find her. Okay, and Judah said, let her, and Judah said, let her take it to her, lest we be shamed. And behold, I sent this kid, and thou hast not found her. And it came to pass about 3 months after it was told Judah, saying, Tamar, thy daughter-in-law, hath played the harlot, and also, behold, she is with child by whoredom. And Judah said, bring her forth, and let her be burnt. When she was brought forth, she said to her father-in-law, saying, by the man whose these are, I am with child. And she said, discern, I pray thee, these are the signet and the bracelet and the staff. And Judah acknowledged them and said, she hath been more righteous than I, because that I gave her not Shelah my son. And he knew her again no more. And it came to pass in the time of her travail that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it came to pass when she travailed that one put out his hand, and the midwife took it and bound upon the scarlet thread, saying, this came out first. And it came to pass, as he drew back his hand, that, behold, his brother came out. And she said, how hast thou broken forth, and this breach be upon thee? Therefore his name was called Pharez. And afterward came out his brother that had the scarlet thread upon his hand, and his name was called Zerah. And so this is, now we're going back to Joseph. Okay, so let's go back to Joseph in chapter 39. And Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, captain of the guard in Egypt, bought him of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down hither. And the Jehovah was with Joseph, and he prospered man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And the master saw that Jehovah was with him, and that Jehovah had made all that he did prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in the sight that he served him, and he made him overseer of his house, and all that he had put into his hand. And it came to pass from the time he had made him overseer that Jehovah had blessed Egypt, the Egyptian's house, for Joseph's sake, and the blessing of Jehovah was upon all that he had in his house and in the field. And he left all that he had to Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught that he had saved with the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a godly person. He was a goodly person and well favored. And it came to pass that after these things that his master, his wife, cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. But he refused. And he said unto his master's wife, he refused, okay? And behold, my master wotteth not thou with me in my and in the house, and he hath committed all he hath to my hand. There is none greater in the house than I, neither hath he kept back anything from me but thee, because thou art his wife. Then how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? Okay, not just sin against his Egyptian master, but sin against God. And it came to pass, as he spake, Joseph day by the day, that he hearkened not unto her to lie with her, or did so with her. You know, when I read this, I think to James. Let's read a section of James here real quick. Okay, I think of James 1. Oh, start in verse 12. Oh, whoops, here we go, James. I can just scoot back here one. This is James 1. Blessed is the man who endureth temptation, for when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord hath promised to them that love him. Okay, what's that crown of life promised to those that loved him? That's being part of the inheritance, folks. Okay, let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempteth he any man. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own lust and enticed. Okay, capture your thoughts. Okay, capture your thoughts. I was told by somebody, and I said, hey, well, that is sin, man. And he's like, well, I just can't control my thoughts. I see these women and I just can't control it. Dude, wickedness and sin is not the excuse of sin. Okay, and I was talking to somebody who professes to be a believer. Okay, I wasn't talking to just a heathen. Well, although he's a heathen. Okay, he professes with his mouth, but his heart is far from him. Okay, so here we go. This is verse 12. And she caught him by his garment, saying, lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand, and he fled out and got away. And it came to pass that when she saw he had left his garment in her hand, and he fled forth, that she called unto the men of the house, and spake unto them, saying, he hath brought in, and the Hebrew unto us to mock us. And he came in to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice. And it came to pass, when he heard, he lifted up my voice, and I cried, and he left his garment with me, and fled, and got him out. And she laid up his garment by her, and his Lord came home. And she spoke unto him according to these words, saying, the Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in unto me to mock me. And when it came to pass, I lifted up my voice and cried. He left his garment with me and fled out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, in this manner did thy servant to me, that his wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, a place where the king's prisoners were bound. And he there in the prison, and Jehovah was with Joseph, and showed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all that the prisoners were in the prison. And whoever they did, he was the doer of it. He was the doer of it. They do not. Yeah, lonely child of earth, if you're still there. Yeah, they do not believe. They might believe in Jesus, but they do not believe in Yeshua of the Bible, as written by the prophets. Neither does a Christian church. And the keeper of the prison, and the prisoners looked not to anything that was under his hand, because Jehovah was with him. That which did Jehovah make it to prosper. Chapter 40. Okay, so Joseph goes into prison, wrongly accused, goes into prison, and he prospers there. And it came to pass that after these things, the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended the Lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, and against the chief of the butlers, and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them. And they continued a season. in the ward. And they dreamed a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night. Each man according to the interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker and the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came unto them in the morning and looked upon them, and behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward in his Lord's house, saying, wherefore you look so sadly today? And they said unto him, we have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpreter of it. And Joseph said unto them, do not interpretations belong to God? Tell them, and I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and said to him, in my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, And it was thought that they budded, and her blossom shot forth, and the clusters thereover brought the ripe grapes. So, and Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and I took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup, and gave the cup unto Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, this is the interpretation of it, 3 branches are 3 days. Yet within three days Pharaoh lifted up his head, and will restore thee unto thy place, and thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner whence thou wast his butler. Okay, so that's good news for the butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness that I pray thee unto me, and make mention of me to Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. So remember me when you get to Pharaoh's. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here I have also done nothing, that they should put me in the dungeon. And when the chief baker saw the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in a dream, and behold, I had 3 baskets on my head, and the uppermost basket of all manner of baked meats for Pharaoh, and the birds did eat out of them, and the basket upon my head. So the birds came and ate all the Pharaoh's food out of his baskets. Hey Lynch, how you doing? Mordecai, how you doing? Johnny, what's up, man? And Joseph answered and said, this is the interpretation thereof. 3 baskets are 3 days, and 3 days shall lift thy head from off thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat the flesh from off thee. Whoa, so not good. Okay, the butler, he got a good dream. The baker's not so good. And it came to pass, okay, and he restored the chief butler unto his butlership, and again he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hands, but he hanged the chief baker as Joseph had interpreted them. Yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forgot him. So the butler forgot to mention him, okay? So Joseph's going to stay in prison. So what did we hear today? We heard the story of Judah, which is kind of a mess of family troubles. And then we got to hear the story of Joseph start off, when Joseph in Egypt. All right, so that is the Blue Letter Bible app's Bible in a Year, where we read it chronologically every day so it makes sense. As we go forward, we're going to read some about the judges and the kings, and then they throw in the prophets that were there at the time, so everything kind of makes more sense than the jumbled up Bible, how it is all put together. All right, so I'll see you tomorrow. And then I think today was like day 24, but we'll see you tomorrow with the next installment.